Longues WN48 MKB Marine Küsten Batterie. During the Normandy invasion, approximately 12 anti-ship batteries were positioned to target the assault beaches. Of these, only 3 were located within the British sector. These batteries primarily employed 155mm guns, with some mounted within heavy casemates, concrete structures designed to protect the artillery from enemy fire. The construction status of this battery varied, with some still incomplete at the time of the invasion. The firing bunkers at Longues are of the Regelbau type, specifically M272, while the command post is a type M262A. These structures include large control posts equipped with optical rangefinders, plotting table, and potential basic fire control system. Some batteries were fitted with long base rangefinders and sights to enhance targeting precision. The guns were often positioned in open emplacement, which had been relocated prior to D-Day to mitigate damage from air attack, such as those at Pointe du Hoc or Montfleury near Honfleur. This open position limited their effective firing range, and during the initial stage of the assault, they did not engage target at long distances. Constructed batteries, feeders, casemated guns, all through their control station, were often incomplete, lacking installed instruments. Outside the British sector, near the deepwater port of Cherbourg, some batteries were more advanced, with at least one believed to be fully operational. There was no evidence of specialized arrangement for blind firing. However, reports indicate that the guns could be directed based on plotting data from nearby radar station. These positions were heavily fortified with minefields, barbed wire, mortars, machine guns, anti-aircraft defense, including some anti-tank weapons. Notably at Longues, a field artillery piece of the Soviet origin, the 122mm K390, was present. Some positions overlooked the cliff, with shells suspended over the edge, ready to be dropped onto approaching targets. Shells failed to detonate upon firing, suggesting issue with the fusing or detonation mechanism. The casemated guns and howitzers, estimated to number between 4 and 8 per battery, were in various stages of readiness. One notable battery house for fixed-mounted 150mm naval gun, located approximately 350 yards inland from a 200-foot high cliff, is Longues-sur-Mer, providing a commanding view of the sea. These guns were equipped with elaborate sights and training telescopes, adjustable for elevations and deflection, all through initially lacking electrical receiver planned for future upgrades where likely. An observation post was under construction at the cliff, nearly completed but lacking instruments and wiring, indicating ongoing development. The concrete fortifications include underground living quarters during duty time, designed to protect personnel, with roof at the ground level. The firing units measured about 50 feet in length, 30 feet wide, and over 20 feet high, requiring approximately 21,000 cubic feet of concrete and 4 tons of rebar each. The wall were over 6 feet thick. Prior to D-Day, the entire battery was subjected to intensive bombing. A 500-pound bomb struck a casemate, damaging the roof above the shell room and creating craters underneath. Yet the guns remained operational. Despite extensive bombing, the guns' operational capability were largely unaffected, as they operated independently and did not rely on centralized control system. The gun's shields were relatively thin, about half of an inch thick at the front, with even less protection on the sides and roof. The rear entrance were small and reinforced with additional armor. The Germans constructed these casemates from December 1943, completing them by June 1944. Rangefinder were stored in a wooden box, indicating that the equipment was still being installed and made operational during this period. 200 feet above the sea level, the battery offered a strategic vantage point to threaten an invasion fleet. The long guns were operated by the 4th Heer's Custom Artillery Abteilung 1260, commanded by Oberlieutenant M.A. Kirkweil. The 4 Skoda guns, 150 millimeters, TKC 36 models, at a range of roughly 12.5 miles. The site was targeted multiple times by bombing raid from March 28 to June 3, 1944, including during this week before D-Day, with a total of 1,500 tons of bombs dropped. On the night of June 5th, 604 tons of bombs were dropped by 99 heavy bombers, although some bombs missed their target, resulting in 7 civilian casualties. At 5:30 a.m., HMS Ajax engaged the battery with its 6-inch guns, but received no reply from the Germans. Shortly after, at 5:37 a.m., German gunners fired 10 salvos at the USS Arkansas and USS Emmons. HMS Ajax responded with 152mm and 102mm guns, attempting to neutralize the battery. By 5:57 a.m., the Germans attempt to sink HMS Bololo, the British flagship of the 50th Division, but the battery accurate fire forced the ship to withdraw temporarily. HMS Ajax and HMS Argonaut fired a total of 179 shells during the engagement. Between 6:05 and 6:20 a.m., both sides exchanged fire. The French ship George Legge and Montcalm claimed to have silenced the battery. HMS Ajax was joined by HMS Argonaut, and both cruisers continued shelling with 6-inch and 6.25-inch shells. The Germans sustained direct hits, damaged 2 casemates, yet the remaining guns continued sporadic firing into the late afternoon. The French cruiser George Legge also participated, and the battery was eventually silenced after sustained bombardment. The Germans fired approximately 115 shells during this period. Around 9 a.m., an air raid involving 7 squadrons of B-17 Flying Fortresses bombers preceded the British assault by the 2nd Devonshire Regiment. During this operation, 120 German soldiers were captured, with 5 killed and 2 British soldiers wounded. The Soviet gun crew did not surrender. The most heavily damaged gun was struck by a direct hit on June 6. However, photographs taken on June 8 clearly showed that the gun and the casemate were less damaged than they appear immediately after the attack. After capturing the site, the British repurposed the bunker for ammunition storage. A few days later, a young British soldier attempted to boil water for tea, but the heater fell and detonated the stored ammunition, resulting in the death of 4 soldiers. This incident underscores the ongoing hazard facing the troops after the initial assault. Where load it on the truck, and they get here to fix the gun. So this is why you've got those huge German naval guns. Those are 6-inch, 13-mile range. When the shell is fired, the speed of the shell is about 900 yards per second. So this is the speed of the shell. So now, let's talk about what we call the $1 million shot. The $1 million shot, you have to imagine that there is 2 British ships, the Ajax and the Argonaut. There's 2 French warships, the George and Montcalm. Now we know which ship did that phenomenal shot. That was the Ajax. The Ajax was into that position, and then with a 4-inch diameter shell, the shell went straight in, and as you can see here, if you look here, it bended the steel armored you've got here.
Yeah,
so
the turret.
now you're going to come with me inside. And now you will understand why we are clearly talking about the $1 million shot. The shell, after penetrated the steel armor, stepped on alongside the mounting of the gun. Broke it, as you can see here, it's broken. And then the shell hit the base of the breech you've got here. And then the shell went straight to the corner and detonated there, because on those shells you've got a timer. So that explains why they didn't blow up there, but blown up there, and detonated the ammo and essentially the powder sacks. So now you've got what they call the effect, counter effect. This is the effect, and the counter effect is when this detonated and all the concrete and steel shrapnel penetrated from the inside towards the outside, explaining the impact of the steel armored plate you've got here. This is an incredible, lucky shot. Another tip now is walking to the observation post, which is closed to the public. Make a stop to those Tobruk's and look at the artist who made this nice horse inspired by the Bayeux tapestry. For more, scan the QR code.